Hey, Soul Survivors, Cynthia Schiller. I'm going to tell you about our professional development today. I met Manny Scott, who is a character, real life, in the movie Freedom Writer. So I'm going to get into the movie a little bit. So, spoiler alert, if you want to tune out, come back and watch it later after you watch the movie. But it was fascinating. So, this man had a really rough, traumatic upbringing. And he is a mixed child. He was, I believe, Black, Mexican, and Korean, maybe. Black, Mexican, and another ethnicity. And he already felt different. And he had moved, I believe, 26 times within 16 years. So he had a very unstable upbringing. He did say that he had a father that worked very, very hard, but he started getting into crack and alcohol and got abusive to where he got in an argument with the mother, and she's screaming, please stop, don't do this to me. And so Manny is trying to save his mother, a child trying to protect his mother. So I'm sorry, the father, I believe, passed, and then it was a stepfather who was abusive. So he slams the mother into like this glass, and it just cuts her all up, and she has a slice in her neck. And then he is trying to protect his mom, but he's too little to get the stepfather away. So the stepfather takes him and throws him off a balcony. So once he gets out the balcony, he has something gash into his ribs, and he's hearing his mother screaming for her life. He ends up going to a payphone, begs the police officers, EMS, to come and save the mother. Luckily, they were able to save the mother, but it was a really rough upbringing. Then the mother gets raped. I don't believe it was by the stepfather, but she gets raped, and the mom's crying all the time. And this child wants mom to stop crying. He doesn't know how to fix it. So all these adverse child experiences form a personality sometimes, how to cope with things, or what you feel responsible for. Are you going to turn into a people pleaser? All these different things are coping mechanisms due to trauma. So he has this one friend, finally has a friend in high school who was 2 years older than him and 2 grades above him, same age, 2 grades above him. And the other friend had tested out into 2 grade levels higher. So he is a best friend to Manny, and he's giving him shoes. And when the speaker was speaking, I've never had a speaker like this before, where he started with a song, and it was like a heartfelt song, and then he gets into his speech, and then he reenacts it, and you can see tears, and he's screaming and throwing things, and it was so deep that it was more than acting, because he even said, look guys, when I talk about this, something changes inside me and it comes out. So his trauma is coming out, and that's what this whole story is about, getting things out. That's why if you are dealing with depression, anxiety, mental illness, things like that, that you have to get out the issues and deal with them. So sometimes we repress them for a while, we're not ready to talk about it, but dealing with it is important to heal. So this one teacher, oh, so let me finish with the friend. So Manny was saying, like, look, why does everybody else have food? Why does everybody have new clothes and new shoes? And he has cardboard and the soles of his shoes just so he can walk, because the shoes have holes in them. And he's like, everybody has a lunch pail. I've never had one. I've never had a backpack. And he feels really different, awkward. He's been made fun of, and all these, plus being moved around so much that it's very unstable. So he finally has this stable friend, and the friend's giving him new shoes. He's like, man, don't worry about it, I got you, and I got enough, don't worry. And he gets him clothes and is really helping him. So that friend, who is 2 years above, is extremely smart, wants to be a counselor, has everything going for him, but they live in the hood, and the teacher is trying to break through. and is not getting anywhere with these kids. So finally she's trying to connect with them, and the kids are like, why do we give a crap about Shakespeare and this and that, some old dead white person, and we're just trying to survive. So she is trying to understand them. And it was kind of funny. What was she said something about Tupac Shaker, and they start laughing because it was Tupac Shakur. And so she's trying to relate, but she's still a little different. She was a cheerleader, I guess, when she was either in high school or college. So she's all like bubbly and, let's go. And they're just like, this lady is not relating to us. They even made a bet, $100, if the one kid could make her cry, a certain kid could make her cry within the week. And they had bets going on, trying, and they gave her such a hard time. And she's still trying because she grew up privileged, and, she came from a lot of money, and the father wanted her to be an attorney. And she's like, no, I want to make a difference in these children's lives. So she was fully dedicated and tried and tried. And the kids know most of the time these teachers quit. And I'm a teacher, so I can relate to the stressors and the turnover. A lot of teachers don't make it past 5 years. It is a very, it's a behaviors, but it's a very difficult job. And she keeps trying. So she starts doing little raps. And so she does like, I can't remember which artist it was. What does she call him? Snoopy Doggy or something like that. So she's talking about Snoop Dogg, and she does like iambic pentameter. So because of the way that the rap goes, she can teach them what iambic pentameter is. And she starts relating other things that way, to where they're like, oh, whoa. And then when she says something about love, and they're giving their definitions of it. And so she starts doing a Shakespeare passage, and it hit deep. They finally got the message that there's, whoa, something's to this. So time goes on, but these kids, can't remember if it was a 20%, I believe 20% graduation rate or less, but they're in the hood. So the teacher's trying to relate, and she's like, those of you who have ever had somebody close to you killed by a gang, come up to this line. So they all come up to this line, and she's like, if you've had 2 or more people that and they're still there, 3 or more, 4 or more. So these kids knew 4 people that were killed or more, and that affects you. I mean, these are teenagers, and who knows when they saw it or dealt with the death of somebody close to them, but they just wanted to give up. And Manny had said, if that 2 year ahead person, this smart person, who has everything going for him, if he can't make it out of the hood, what makes me think I'm gonna ever get out of this hood? He's like, school didn't do it for him, and screw it, I'm gonna drop out. And he had this one homeless person who was strung out on crack, and he came over, and he started talking with Manny and said, you need to go back. And he's like, don't end up like me. And he really pushed Manny to get back into school. So Manny went from a 0.5 or 0.06 or something like that, a super terrible grade point. And when he went back, I think it was a 3.5 that he got, somewhere around there. And I think there were 2 B's and the rest were A's or something like that. So a high grade average. And so the teacher had always wanted to go to UCLA Berkeley, and that was her dream school, but she just went to a different school, I believe. But she had told him, you got to apply. And he's like, come on. He's like, I have this terrible grade point, and then now I have something good. They're going to look at it like I'm not worthy. And she's like, they're going to see something special in you, that within 1 semester, you went from basically 0.5 or so to 3.5, give or take the numbers. And she believed in him. And she's like, you got to do it. So she helped him and she wouldn't give up on him. And he ended up getting accepted to UCL Berkeley. And so time goes by. He's working hard. He's paying for it, and doing everything he can to achieve, to escape his, change his reality to where he has a better life. And he graduates and he calls that cheerleader and she's like, that's great, have you thought of doing a master's? You got to do a master's. And he's like, nah, and she's like, no, you need to. And she kind of nudged him into doing it, and he ends up calling her, hey, I got my master's. And she's like, are you thinking about doing a doctorate? And he's like, you know what, I am. So he ended up getting his PhD. He said he was taking one class per semester for 10 years and he got his PhD. So he went from super hood, where gang violence was rampant. And then this teacher did not give up on her students. And it was like 159 or 156 of them graduated, which was all of them. All of them graduated. And even at my school, what do we have for our graduate? Maybe 60% graduation. And that's a little inner city, a big inner city. So we need one person to help us through the hard times. It doesn't have to be a lover, doesn't have to be a family member. It could be, but somebody who believes in us. And that can make the world a difference. So try not to isolate yourself if you are struggling with some issues, that you still have connections. We're humans. We need that emotional connection. So the whole thing is that she started having these kids write. And she's like, I don't care about the grammar. We can fix that all later. I don't care about sentence structure or paragraphs, all that kind of thing. Get it out. Tell me about your trauma. And they wrote, I get chills, they wrote all their stories down. And when you get it out, that's why if you're struggling in rumination, sometimes you can write a letter to your ex, get it out, and then let it go. You can throw it out, you can burn it. Try not to burn. I'm a burn victim. So that's not the safest way to do it, but crumple it up, throw it out, and process through your emotions. Cry if you need to. That's when we bottle things up, sometimes we can explode. And it was very interesting the way that he did his speech today. He was like, I'm just going to let it all out. And the energy that gets out, the anger, but he I don't know his personal life because he's presenting, he's telling us about him, but he's married with 3 children. And he says he's happily married. So I believe that. Hopefully he is. But the point of this was, it was really powerful to see how he overcame his trauma, his beliefs in himself, giving up on himself, changed to believing in himself. So there's that shift that I keep talking about, is change your perspective and live in today and live for the future too. But when we focus on the past, or we don't process through what happened, or we hold on to anger, that it gets us stuck. It gets us stuck in lower self-esteem, helplessness, hopelessness, that, sometimes instead of dismissing people who are trying to encourage us, because, they're like, well, what do you do about this one child that you can't reach? And you don't give up on them. But they say you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And then he tells me about this one guy who was off in the audience, one other speech that he was doing, and he's like, he was this big Texan guy, and I'll do my best Texas accent, and he's doing his little cowboy. I don't know if I should attempt it, but he was saying, as the cowboy, that you can make a horse drink. um, all you got to do is get some salt, give it a salt lick, and that's going to make them thirsty. When the horse is thirsty, the horse will drink, but you have to be thirsty. So I want you guys to comment below. I'm thirsty. I'm thirsty for my future. I'm thirsty for healing. And it takes time. Just like Manny, he had to get his bachelor's, master's, doctorate, wife, and then the children came, not at the same time, one after another, however many years apart, but building the future. And it doesn't have to be education, it can just be your happiness within. And I keep talking about this one glass that was filled with that mud. You can take the little pieces of pain out, or you can fill it with good in your life like he did. He was filling in the good, and it weeds out the bad. It overpowers your life and shifts the change of it. So let me know if you have seen the movie Freedom Riders, and I'm going to watch it as soon as I get my lesson plans done. Responsibilities first. See you soon.